The other day, someone asked me, as a consultant, do I sometimes know beforehand what my answer would be, meaning my advice would be for a client? Because sometimes what happens is a client will call you, they'll book your time, and in our booking system, they'll give you some feedback, just, what the topic's going to be about. And obviously in the meeting, when we don't need to have additional work added to the journey, I guess, we don't do that very seldom, but still kind of like often, depending on the nature, we do give the advice in the moment that is sufficient enough. So someone asked me and said, do we sometimes go into a meeting knowing what we're going to say without even having to hear them out? And I couldn't answer that question. I didn't know what the answer would be. Sorry for all the and ah, but this is exactly why I'm recording this at this moment, because I'm answering my own question today. Or I'm answering that question, I guess, at the end of the day. The question of, do we know the answer beforehand? So a client called me up, existing client, and says, Dion, I've got this opportunity to buy into a business. I'm going to send you the financials, send you the project management plan or the project charter, everything like that. I know the client. I don't know the new business. Let me look into it. And it is an amazing investable opportunity. So without giving intellectual property away or sensitive data, here's an overview. It's a family-run business for 20 years. No, longer than 20 years. It's a family-run business. Now the family wants to retire, so they're selling off the business, which is at a very good price point. It's been very great managed. The books looks absolutely squeaky clean. It's an amazing opportunity. So obviously my client expected, I'm just going to give this to Dion and he's going to say yay or nay based on things that he might or might not see. And here's the thing, right? My meeting, I'm now preparing for the meeting or waiting for the client to show up, which is in about 4 minutes time. So hopefully we'll get the video done before that. My opinion, I know the answer that I'm going to give them. And I want to share that answer with you guys because there's something that they're missing. They're missing the passive and active side of things. So my client wants to come in as a passive investor, meaning he's buying into multiple businesses to run them passively through a management point of view. But this business was actively managed for the last 20, 30, 40 years. Let's just say 20 years and beyond that. It was actively managed, but it was also actively managed by a family. So as I'm writing my notes here, I want to share this with you. The first thing that they're obviously missing is, what changes when you go to passive is the family factor. Family-run businesses often rely on tribal knowledge, productivity, morale, everything like that will definitely go through a dip unless replaced with, structured systems with clear leadership. There's obviously the hands-on decision loops that's going to be completely missing. When you look at family-owned businesses or family-run businesses, families have that intuitive situation where they can make fast decisions, informal decisions, because they know each other and the business, they know the business intuitively. A passive owner introduces delays and bureaucracy unless authority and communication channels are deliberately designed within that channel. And then there's the invisible labor factor. Family members often perform unpaid or extra work. They've got the after-hour fixes, helping on weekends, or once that is replaced by staff, it becomes an expense actually on the book. It becomes a real salary expense, and without that expense or without that commitment, there's also that huge gap in all the operations, and that's from the family side. Then there's obviously the people and culture, the human dangers. When buying into that, there's staff loyalty is within the family that's been there for 20 odd years. So long-term employees might feel that they're losing their people. you need to expect that emotional resistance, that lower morale, and possibly resignations at the end of the day, especially among senior family connected staff. Sorry, I'm typing here because I'm just preparing for my client as well. The strategy, obviously, that I'm going to share with them later today is to have a clear culture continuity plan, to honor the legacy, to celebrate the family's contribution, to celebrate that publicly, first of all, and position my client as a custodian. I guess that's the best word of describing it, and not really as a replacement. There will definitely be the new boss syndrome. Even if my client is passively involved, employees will test the boundaries of any new regime at the end of the day. And without visible leadership, standards will quietly just slip at the end of the day. Then you also get your hidden interpersonal politics. Family members often act as informal mediators, I guess, removing them or their involvement at the end of the day from the business, their active position in the business may surface new conflicts. That will be the best way to describe it. That in the past was previously well contained. So I guess from our side, we'll definitely implement or propose like a strategy that has like a early team assessment and clear conflict resolution frameworks. This is important when you're buying into any companies. It's going to be a culture clash, regardless if it is a good culture and a good culture. There's going to be a clash. That's why when we step into that position, when we work with that company cultures, we look into the possible clashes. We design it so, we kind of like just contaminate all the risks and everything like that. Customer relationships, massive one. Many customers likely have personal relationships with the family. They need to expect some kind of like holdback or pushback unless there's a great transition that was planned ahead. They need to plan intentional handover narrative at the end of the day. That it's the same quality but a new chapter. I guess what I'm trying to say to my client is you need to consider transitional involvement from one family member for, say, the first half year to the first year. That's going to be very important. And then the systems and processes, obviously not marketing ourselves, need to market ourselves more there. Our clients reaching out to us for a valid reason is processes is what we are known for, company cultures, and obviously sales and leadership, working alongside the executives of a company. Legacy businesses are often people dependent, and it's not systems dependent. So you'll see it when you walk into a company and it's family owned and everything. There's a huge stigma around the legacy in a good way. It's not in a bad way, but the lack of processes and lack of systems mean the company is also not dependent on that systems and everything. They're dependent on the legacy, which is not ideally great if the family removes itself or if people buy into that. We saw it with Pick and Pay, right? We saw it with the Ackermans when they removed themselves from a corporate listed company. What happened to their quality? What happened to their systems? What happened to everything? Because the company's never been in a position to be subject or dependent rather on the systematic side of the company, but always dependent on the legacy side of the company, which was great when the family was involved, but horrible when the family withdrew from that at the end of the day. In this scenario, the strategy would be, I'd say, for 3 to 6 months to audit actually all the processes that they currently do have, not only implement new ones, from their sales, their procurement, their service delivery, accounting, to document those because it was legacy based. It's not always documented, but it doesn't mean it was absent. Document those and then transition that into a longevity plan at the end of the day. For passive owner, my only advice in today's meeting, and he's joining now, so I'm going to end this recording just now. For a passive owner, it will be 100% that expect and understand that there will be an active phase in the beginning. Don't think you're going to be passive from the get-go with everything like that. Expect that there's the usual quarterly check-ins, the monthly performance reviews and everything like that. But from the beginning, expect your time to be absent from all your other endeavors so that you can actually be very active in this situation, because it comes from legacy based to systematic based. It can, even if you have a trustworthy manager, that's always seemed to get the answer. If you don't build everything in that first 3 to 6 months, you're going to have to go back, demolish everything to rebuild, and that's going to cost you real time and real money. The strategic advice before buying something like this from our side is always do a dependency audit, conduct a culture assessment, design the management system early, use transitional consulting, and plan an ownership narrative at the end of the day. That's kind of like what we're busy with now in the light of XCAP. This is me in my standing desk, ready to take on a meeting, and just wanted to give you some insight on sometimes we do know the answer before we go into a meeting. Lekker, enjoy.